Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're stepping into a story where the line between life and death is razor thin. Tien was walking on a familiar mountain path, but then she vanished into thin air, leaving Jack with nothing but a terrifying silence, eventually broken by a cruel demand, a 500 million ransom. Who is the kidnapper, and how do they know their every move? Can Jack keep a cool head to save the woman he loves, or will he crumble under this horrific pressure? Don't miss a single detail, and remember to hit subscribe to support us so we can bring you more fascinating cases. The winter wind-up in the Highlands wasn't just cold, it carried a bad omen. The sound of the wind hissing through the dry grass sounded like a knife scraping against stone, sharp and gloomy. The red dirt path, usually so familiar, suddenly felt endless and creepy this morning, like a trap with its jaws open waiting. That morning, Tien made the biggest mistake of her life. She thought she was safe. After kissing Jack goodbye and dropping little Anna off at Mother Ly's house, Tien hiked up to the field alone, carrying her basket. She ignored the passing dizziness and the nosebleed she just wiped away, warning signs her weak body was screaming at her. She just wanted to quickly pick a basket of oranges and be back before lunch. But she didn't know that there were eyes watching her every step, patient like predators stalking a lost animal. When she reached the most secluded bend in the road, the birds suddenly went silent. The only sound left was the crunch of footsteps on gravel behind her. Not one person, but two. Tien spun around. Her blood ran cold. Blocking the narrow path was a strange man with dead cold eyes. And standing next to him, with a cruel smirk on her face, was the last person Tien expected to see Mrs. Tui, her ex-mother-in-law. You? Tien's voice stuck in her throat. Surprised. Mrs. Tui stepped forward, hatred gleaming in her eyes like a razor blade. We need to settle the score a little bit. The man stepped up, not wasting a single word. He looked at Tien like she was an inanimate object. 500 million. Cash. Right now. You guys are crazy. Tien backed away, gripping the strap of her basket, her heart pounding like it was about to burst out of her chest. She calculated the distance. A drop-off on one side, a cliff wall on the other, and two predators blocking the front. I don't have money. Get out of my way. If you don't have money, you'll pay with something else. The man growled, lunging at her like a bolt of lightning. Tien tried to run, but his rough hand snatched the necklace around her neck. Snap. The sound of metal breaking rang out dryly. Tien stumbled her feet, slipping on the loose gravel. The whole world tilted. She reached out in desperation, but grabbed only thin air. Tieued. Her head slammed hard onto the packed earth. A sharp, stinging pain shot up to her brain, and then darkness swallowed her whole, cold and ruthless. Oh. When Tien woke up, the smell of mold and rot hit her straight in the nose, making her gag. She was lying on a cold floor in a ruined house with shattered windows. Her head felt like it was splitting open, and her throat was burning with thirst. Awake yet, the man's voice echoed from a dark corner. He was sitting there calm as the Grim Reaper guarding a soul. Next to him, Mrs. Tui sat on an old chair, arms crossed, looking at her with sick satisfaction. You people, let me go. Tien tried to sit up, but her body was falling apart, weak and drained. "Let you go." Mrs. Tui smirked, walking closer and leaning down to look Tien straight in the face. "You think I went through the trouble of dragging you here just to let you go? I want to see what your new husband, that Mr. Perfect Jack, is willing to do to save you. Don't drag him into this." Tien screamed, fear surging through her. Jack was at the most critical stage of the Min Hung project. He couldn't take another shock. He's about to sign a big contract, isn't he? Mrs. Tui pulled Tien's phone out of her pocket. The screen lit up, showing a wallpaper of Jack and little Anna smiling brightly. "Let's see how much his reputation and career are worth compared to your life." "No, don't call." Tien lunged forward, but the man roughly shoved her back down to the ground. Mrs. Tui coldly dialed the number. The waiting tone rang out. Beep, beep. Every ring felt like a nail being hammered into Tien's coffin. She knew that the moment Jack picked up, he would be thrown into a brutal life-or-death game. 500 million, or his wife's life. Mrs. Tui put it on speaker, her smile widening with malice as a familiar, worried voice came from the other end. "Hello, Tien. Are you okay? I was just about to call you." Tien wanted to scream. "Don't listen to them." But the man pressed a cold knife against her throat, signaling her to be quiet. Mrs. Tui spoke, her voice slow and icy. "Hello, Jack. Your wife is with me, and I think you should start getting some money together if you want to see her in one piece." The room fell into a deadly silence. The cruel game had officially begun. In his spacious but cold office, the fluorescent lights hummed quietly, a sound Jack usually ignored, but today it felt like needles pricking his eardrums. Jack sat at his desk, staring at the thick, Min Hung project file in front of him, the biggest gamble of his life. One hand rested loosely on the documents. The other was unconsciously gripping his car keys. His gut was burning. All afternoon, a nameless anxiety had been creeping into his mind, making it impossible to focus on the numbers. Tien hadn't come home. Her phone rang, but no one picked up. And then his phone vibrated violently against the glass desk, shattering the silence. A strange number flashed on the screen. Not Tien. Jack stared at the screen. A bad omen ran down his spine, cold as ice. He hesitated for a second, 2 seconds. The sound. The phone rang a third time, shrill and urgent. Jack took a deep breath and slid his thumb across the screen. "Hello." Jack answered, his voice tight and guarded. There was a split second of silence on the other end, just faint breathing before a woman spoke. Her voice was calm and slow, but it carried a hidden thread that made Jack's blood run cold. "Jack, it's Mrs. Tui." That name hit him like a punch to the gut. Jack froze. He sat bolt upright, the leather chair creaking beneath him as his muscles tensed. Mrs. Tien's ex-mother-in-law. Why was she calling him now? And why from a strange number? "Where's Tien?" Jack growled the question, shooting out like a reflex. "Alive," she replied, cold and clipped. She made it sound like letting Tien breathe was some huge favor he should be on his knees thanking her for. For now, Jack's vision tunneled. Everything around him blurred out until there was nothing left but the phone pressed against his ear. The spacious office suddenly felt suffocatingly small. Did you touch her?" Jack gritted his teeth, fury exploding inside him, but held back by fear. "Where are you?" Mrs. Tui ignored the question. She didn't have time for pointless arguing. She cut straight to the chase, ruthless as a hitman. 500 million. Bring the cash here. No cops, no tricks. If you want to see your wife in one piece. 500 million. The number bounced around Jack's skull like madness. He clenched his jaw so hard he could taste blood. "Do you think I'm a printing press?" Jack yelled, desperation creeping into his voice. "Do you think I just keep 500 million sitting in my desk drawer? Don't play poor with me." Mrs. Tui's voice was sharp as a razor cutting him off. "You're working with Min Hung. Everyone in this town knows you're sitting on a billion-dong project. You'll figure it out. I don't care if you borrow sell stuff or steal it. I just want the money." Jack's mind was racing. She was right. He was on a big project. But that was investor money numbers on paper bank collateral. He didn't have liquid cash. Even if he could mobilize it, getting 500 million in cash this late in the afternoon was impossible. And more importantly, handing money to someone like Mrs. Tui was like throwing it into a black hole. She wouldn't stop. He forced himself to breathe, forcing his racing heart to slow down. He needed confirmation. He needed to know his wife was actually there and alive. "Let me talk to her," Jack said, dropping his voice, trying to fake a sense of calm. "I need to know she's okay." There was a terrifying silence on the other end. Then rustling footsteps and a scuffle, like the phone was being roughly passed around. "Talk!" The strange man's voice barked into the receiver. "Jack!" The voice was weak, hoarse, and shaking. But it was Tien, the voice he loved more than anything in the world. Jack's throat tightened his chest, constricting so hard he could barely breathe. He bolted up from his chair, gripping the edge of the desk. "Tien, Tien, honey." Jack called out, his voice cracking. "Are you hurt? Where are you? Tell me." "I'm okay," Tien whispered. Through the phone, Jack could hear a choked sob she was trying to swallow so he wouldn't worry. I hit my head, but I'm awake. They locked the door. Jack, please don't come alone. They're dangerous." Tears welled up in Jack's eyes. He squeezed them shut, imagining his wife curled up in a dark corner in pain and terrified. The helplessness felt like 1,000 needles piercing his skin. "Listen to me, Tien," Jack said, fast, pouring every ounce of stability he had into his words. "I'm here. I'm coming to get you. I'll bring you home no matter what. Do you understand? Don't be afraid, Jack." Tien started to say something else, but the phone was snatched away. "That's enough." Mrs. Tui's voice was back colder, crueler. "You have until tomorrow morning. Mark my words. If you bring the cops, or tell anyone, get a coffin ready for her. I'm not joking." "You..." Click. The line went dead. Just the endless cold dial tone. Jack stared at the phone in his hand like it was an alien object. The black screen reflected his shell-shocked face. His hands were shaking violently, but strangely. After the initial panic, his mind suddenly became terrifyingly sharp. The extreme fear burned away the confusion, leaving only one goal: save Tien. 500 million. Tomorrow morning, no cops. The words danced in his head. He knew Mrs. Tui well. She was greedy, but she was also scheming. If he brought the money, would she actually let Tien go? Or would she demand more? Or worse, would she kill them both to silence them? Jack tossed the Minhung file aside. Contracts, profit margins, reputation, career. It all meant nothing now compared to the life of the woman he loved. He didn't call his accountant. He didn't call his investors. He didn't call any friends to borrow money. Jack's finger scrolled quickly through his contacts, stopping at a name he had saved a long time ago, but hoped he'd never have to use Officer Thieu. 2 rings. Officer Thieu picked up. "This is Thieu." The officer's voice was deep, steady, and commanding. "Officer Thieu, it's Jack." He said, his voice urgent and breathless, but enunciating every word. "Tien has been kidnapped. Mrs. Tui just called me. She has her. They're demanding 500 million. There was a second of silence on the other end, the silence of intense focus, not surprise. "Where are you right now?" Officer Thieu asked, his tone hardening as he switched instantly into tactical mode. "I'm at the office. I'm heading to my car. I have to go find her." Jack set his legs, already moving toward the door. "No!" Officer Thieu's shout stopped Jack in his tracks. "Stay right there. Where do you think you're going? Do you even know where they are? Charging up that mountain alone, right now, is a suicide mission. Listen to me, Jack. You need to calm down. I'm heading to your location right now." Jack's chest heaved violently. "But they said no cops. If they find out, every kidnapper says that." Officer Thieu cut him off, his voice firm and steadying. "It's a mind game. They want to isolate you, make you panic and obey. We're going to handle this by the book. We will get her home safe. You have to trust me." Jack leaned back against the wall, his forehead slick with cold sweat. "They're going to hurt her, Thieu." Tien's voice. She sounded so weak. "We're going to move fast." Thieu said, his tone softening slightly, but still steely. "Your job right now is to keep a cool head. Keep your phone on you. Don't block any unknown numbers. If they call back, pick up. Stall them. Talk, beg, negotiate. Do whatever it takes to keep them on the line. Your fear is their weapon, but the intel you get from that call is ours." Jack looked out the office window. Outside, the city lights were on, glittering and expensive, but completely indifferent. He let out a harsh breath, trying to swallow the lump in his throat. "Okay, I'll wait for you." Jack hung up. He stood in the shadows for a few seconds, gathering whatever scraps of courage he had left. Then he dialed the next number. This call was going to be 100 times harder. "Hello, son, Mom's here." Mother Ly's voice was warm, mixed with the babbling and bright laughter of a child in the background. It was Anna. Her laughter was pure and innocent, a total contrast to the hell Jack was living through. The sound felt like a knife to his heart, but also his biggest source of strength. "Mom," Jack said, his voice cracking. It took him a few seconds to find his voice again. "Tien isn't home yet. She's been taken." The line went silent. Anna's laughter kept going, but the air around Mother Ly seemed to freeze. Jack could feel the older woman's shock through the phone. A moment later, Mother Ly spoke. No panic, no screaming, just strangely calm and resilient, the resilience of a mountain woman who had weathered many storms. "Where is Anna?" was her first question. "She's with you, isn't she?" Jack asked back, his heart clenching. "Yes, she's playing right here," Mother Ly said, lowering her voice so the child wouldn't hear anything wrong. "Keep her with you." "Mom," Jack said quickly, tears starting to stream down his cheeks. "Please don't let her out of your sight for a second. Lock the doors. I called Dung. He's heading over to help you right now. I'm working with the police." In the background, Anna seemed to throw a toy, squealing with joy. "Daddy, Daddy!" That innocent call made Jack bite his lip until it bled to keep from sobbing out loud. She had no idea her world had just cracked open. Her mother was in the hands of bad people, and her father was standing on the edge of a cliff. Mother Ly let out a slow sigh, heavy with worry, but full of faith. "Bring Tien home safe for me." She said every word like an order, but also a prayer for her son-in-law. "We'll wait here." Jack hung up. He gripped the phone tight, his eyes burning with a terrifying resolve. The panic of a husband losing his wife was gone, replaced by the instinct of a man protecting his family. He rushed out of the office, plunging into the night. The real war was just beginning. Darkness had swallowed the city, turning the skyscrapers into giant cold black blocks. But inside Jack's office, the air was even more suffocating than the night outside. He paced the massive room, clenching his hands until his knuckles turned white. He was like a wounded animal in a cage, pain, rage, and helplessness all mixing together. Inside his head, Tien's weak, trembling voice kept replaying like a broken record. "Jack, save me." The office door burst open. Officer Tieu walked in, followed by two solemn plainclothes officers. Their arrival brought an air of discipline and hope. "Tell me everything. Don't leave out a single detail, no matter how small." Officer Tieu said, his voice deep and solid, pulling Jack out of his spiral of panic. Jack took a deep breath, trying to steady his erratic breathing. He recounted the call, word for word, tone for tone. He mentioned Mrs. Tui's maniacal laugh, the strange man's growl, Tien's choked sobbing, the head injury, the locked door, the 500 million, and the deadly deadline tomorrow morning. Officer Tieu nodded, his eyes sharp as razors. "Good. We have time, even if it's not much. Now we get to work." They moved Jack to a more private meeting room, completely soundproof. A detailed topographical map of the mountain area where Tien vanished was spread out on the table. The officers started marking it with crisscrossing lines and red and blue symbols. "Mrs. Tui," Officer Tieu tapped his finger on the table. "Is she familiar with this area?" "Very," Jack replied, his voice hoarse from stress. "She lived here years ago. She knows trails. Outsiders don't caves, abandoned logger shacks." Officer Tieu circled a few spots on the map, frowning in thought. "Kidnappers usually pick somewhere secluded, but with an escape route. They won't go too deep into the dense jungle because it's hard to move an injured hostage, but they won't stay too close to the main road either. She'll pick abandoned houses or old produce warehouses halfway up the mountain." Jack stared at the red circles on the map, his throat dry as dust. Can you find her tonight? She's hurt. She's pregnant." Officer Tieu looked Jack straight in the eye, offering no empty promises. "We will do everything we can. It's going to be a long night. And Jack, you are the key. If they call back, we have to force them to slip up," as if the universe was mocking him or the kidnapper was hiding somewhere. Listening in Jack's phone suddenly buzzed violently on the desk. That vibration against the wood in the silent room sounded like a ticking time bomb. A strange number flashed on the screen. Jack's heart skipped a beat, slamming against his ribs. Officer Tieu raised a hand, signaling for silence, then pointed to the speakerphone button. His eyes gave the order. "Stay calm." Jack's shaking finger pressed answer. "Hello." It wasn't Mrs. Tieu this time. It was the man. His voice was deep, rough, and smelled of danger. "Got the money." Jack swallowed hard, trying to keep his voice from cracking. "I'm working on it. You can't get that kind of cash overnight, but I need proof. I need to know my wife is alive." A sneering laugh echoed from the other end, cold and cruel. "You already heard her voice. Quit stalling." "I heard a voice, but I don't know what condition she's in." Jack shot back his voice a little harder, following Tieu's lead. "I want to talk to her, and I need to know where to drop the money. No proof, no cash, not a single cent." Silence on the other end. A deadly pause that lasted 5 seconds. Jack held his breath, cold sweat rolling down his temples. The officers around him held their breath, the recorder whirring softly. Then Tien's voice came through again, weaker than this afternoon, but clear. "Jack, I'm here." Hearing his wife, Jack's eyes stung. He wanted to scream, but he forced it down. He needed intel. "Tien, listen to me. Are you alone in the room?" "No," she whispered. Jack glanced at Officer Tieu, who nodded encouragingly. Jack shifted the question smoothly, trying to fish for environmental clues. "Can you see anything? Tien, any sounds around you? Water running, traffic animals? Anything at all?" "Shut up!" the creditor yelled, snatching the phone back. "Tomorrow morning, same rules. Come alone. One wrong move, and I'm mailing you her finger." Jack lunged forward, shouting into the phone. "Wait, if you want the money, you have to earn my trust. If you hurt her, you get nothing." Silence. And in that brief moment of silence before the guy hung up, Jack and the entire police room heard a faint background noise. Creak. Creak. Metal grinding against metal. And in the distance, a dog barking an echoey bark bouncing off a deep valley. "I'll call back in the morning." The man growled, then slammed the phone down. Jack let his hands drop his body, shaking like he had malaria. But Officer Tieu was different. He leaned forward, eyes blazing. "You did great, Jack. You did really well. That background noise, that's the key." A tech officer with headphones spoke up immediately. "Loose tin sheets banging in the wind. The mountain wind is strong right now, hitting loose metal against wood beams. And the dog barking. The echo suggests a narrow valley or near a cliff face. She's scared, but she's still alive." Jack mumbled, his voice breaking with emotion. Officer Tieu stood up abruptly, barking orders to the teams. "Isolate all tin roof shacks in the KGO Valley and the old stone quarry sectors. Move out immediately We aren't waiting until morning. While the night outside became active with the silent footsteps of the police force somewhere else, the waiting was pure agony. Back at Mother Ly's house, little Anna started acting up. She wouldn't sleep, just kept toddling to the door, looking out into the pitch-black night with her big round eyes calling, "Mommy, Mommy." Mother Ly picked her up, rocking her gently, tears silently falling onto the baby's soft hair. She sang a lullaby, but her voice trembled. Uncle Dung sat silently in the corner with a bag of hot food, looking worried. The whole house was heavy with waiting. Back at the station in the dead of night, Jack sat with his head in his hands. The phone lay silent, but a war was raging in his head. He thought about the Min Hung contract lying unfinished on his desk. That was his life's dream, the blood, sweat, and tears of years of building. But now weighed against tien, it felt as light as a piece of scrap paper. No money, no status, no fame mattered more than bringing her home. He would burn the whole world down if it meant Tien was safe. As the first rays of sunlight began to creep through the blinds, breaking the thick fog, Officer Thieu returned to the room with shocking news. A scout team had found evidence on a mountain trail near the entrance to an old path covered by years of overgrowth. Officer Thieu placed a clear evidence bag on the table. Inside was a broken silver necklace covered in mud, and next to it, a small scrap of fabric stained with dried, dark blood. Jack stared at the necklace. His breath caught in his throat. It was the anniversary gift he gave Tien. He remembered her smile when he put it around her neck. Now it lay there, broken cold proof of the brutal struggle his wife had gone through. Blood type confirms it's hers. Officer Thieu said, his voice lowering. She was here. They dragged her through this trail. That means we're close. Maybe 2 kilometers of forest away from where they're holding her. Jack's hand curled into a fist nails, digging into his palm until it bled. Fury exploded in his eyes, burning away any remaining fear. Then we go right now. Jack said, his voice hoarse but filled with unshakable resolve. Officer Thieu looked him straight in the eye and gave a firm nod. We go, but we do it smart. We're getting her out before they even realize we're there. Jack stood up and adjusted his jacket. Outside the window, the sun was rising bright and blinding. But inside, Jack, the war had only just begun. He was walking into the tiger's den to face the monsters and take back the woman of his life. And that is the life and death situation Jack and Tien are in. Tien vanished after a brutal attack on a narrow mountain trail. The mastermind is none other than her vengeful ex-mother-in-law and a cold-blooded creditor. They ripped off her necklace, pushed her down, causing a head injury, and dragged her into the darkness of an abandoned house to hold her captive. Once they realized Tien was still alive, their greed took over. A chilling ultimatum was sent to Jack, 500 million dong, or Tien gets sold across the border, disappearing forever. Jack, who was standing on the doorstep of success with the Min Hung project, is now backed into a corner. On one side is his life's career, on the other is his wife's life. He has to race against time, working with the police in a high-stakes chess game, while little Anna innocently waits for her mom at home. Will Jack make it in time before the kidnappers move Tien? Where will that blood trail lead? Or is it a deadly trap waiting for them? The answer will be in the next video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss this breathtaking rescue.